Okay, thank you, Manol, and everybody for the interesting day and also for involving me in this really stimulating project. I will talk about alpine screes that are the habitat that I will present. Today I will just talk about my research topics and also about the environment, the habitat. I will try to show you the general features of this habitat, and tomorrow we will discuss more in detail the technical issues and the monitoring plans that we have to build together. Well, I work on the bioscience department of the University of Milan, which is a very broad department that deals from biomedical issues to ecology. More in detail, my research group is tiny. Here I present the collaborators on the topics that involve high altitude ecosystems, that are those that we are dealing with two PhD students. Particularly Barbara will be more involved in our sampling. What I work on, my research group works on high altitude flora and vegetation from an ecological perspective, so not only dealing with the distribution of plants as a consequence of climatic and environmental inputs, but also on a broader perspective, on a community level, also dealing with interaction within plants and animals, particularly arthropods, insects, and so on. Then there are also other issues, but I highlighted in blue those that are somewhat linked to the project that we are talking about. Within these general research topics, what we are dealing with is the study of some high altitude landforms that include the habitat that we are going to talk about from many points of view. The main one is that of flora, plant species that live on it, vegetation, plant communities that such species build, and also fauna. What we are studying are the relationships among plant communities, arthropod communities, but particularly plants, because we are botanists, and the physical environment. This has an important for us endpoint is the outline of how such environments can behave as refugium areas in a warmer world that is to come in the next decades, because they have some peculiar microenvironmental features that probably will allow the survival of plant species that otherwise will be heavily affected by climate change. In this picture, you can start looking at the kind of environment in which the robots will have to walk. In order to outline also some features of the physical environment, together with the occurrence, the sampling of plants, more or less with the same methods that have been shown in the previous talk, we also try to outline and to have a general view of the physical environment through temperature and humidity data loggers, so point-like data that comes from the ground, from the micro topographic points, weather stations that can be built and work for a sampling season in order to have the general features of the atmosphere, and also UAV surveys and soil samples. The other topic is less important, so I will skip it, but there are some things that will come to tomorrow, is the study of plant and pollinator insects, but this has less in common with our project, but I just mentioned it because tomorrow we will discuss a little bit about this. So, a small profile of our habitat. We are dealing with alpine screes, habitat codes 8110 and 8120, that are distinguished from the different bedrock. The first one is siliceous screes, the second one is calcareous ones. So this is the main difference. We take both of them into account here. Such habitat is originated by different physical processes, mostly gravitative phenomena, so rockfalls that are triggered by frost in rock cliffs of the mountains, and very important are ice-related dynamics, glaciers, and permafrost actions. Such array of drivers, of physical drivers, result in different morphology and different physical features of the screes that are reflected by different features of the living part of plants and animals. Here we can see a scree that is determined by the glacier occurrence. It's an almost died glacier. Here, this is a huge permafrost related scree that is a huge debris accumulation with an ice core inside. Together, within all these different features, we can try to find out some shared traits among the habitats. There is an overall low plant cover, as you can see here. It's variable, but it's overall low. Substrate is made mainly by blocks that are various sized, from centimeter to meters and even many meters. The substrate can be from completely stable to highly unstable, following the different processes that build the scree. The altitude ranges from 2,000 to 3,000 meters above sea level. There are some further possible traits that can occur in these habitats. Underlying ice, that is very interesting for us from the ecological point of view, but also from the physical behavior of the scree. This occurs on the so-called debris-covered glaciers. It can be a complex morphology made of ridges and slopes, like this one we can see in the picture. We can see on the top a ridge, a moraine ridge, and also flowing water from glacier streams. This is an overview of a typical environment where we can see how variable plant cover can be. A specific point is that of screes with an ice core inside. This is a typical example. This is one of the sites that I would like to explore within this project. They should be attributed to a different habitat, 8340 permanent glacier, but until now they have been included in the habitat that we are dealing with. So these are still considered as scree communities and can be investigated, also because they are very interesting, because they can host living organisms above ice. Finally, we can say that the conservation status in the Alpine and Mediterranean biogeographical region that has been assessed within the Habitat Directive is generally favorable, but there are some threats that are important to explore also within this project. One is that of human impact, that is mostly due to outdoor sports. Here we can see a ski run that destroyed an important habitat, a scree habitat in the Italian Prealps. But what I'm more interested in, and where probably our kind of monitoring can be effective, is abiotic natural processes, and particularly climate change, that can be very important in changing the dynamics of the vegetation. This is both research topics that we are exploring with our traditional monitoring methods, but also something that where probably robots can help a lot, helping us in collecting rigorous and quantitative data.